ahead now and go up. Nope, go up. All right, start streaming, and you're live.
Okay.
All right, you're live. So when you're done streaming, you're going to stop your streaming on OBS, and then you're going to come back here and turn that off. Okay?
All right, where do you... Oh, do the stop streaming right there.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, and the YouTube stream.
All right.
Cool. All right, you're good to go. Your mic is probably getting picked up by the stream right now, so you might want to definitely mute it right there. Mute it.
Oh. All right, let me see. Hey guys, just give me one quick second. I should be visible on screen. All right, guys, how's it going? Glad you guys are coming on, taking a look at this stuff. We're gonna do some fun here. Let me get some music going. Have some chill out music. Let's see. History.
To explore the ocean and to really choose a genre that we think can respect.
Man, it'd be nice to hear some tunes while we're working. Where is that good stuff? Twitch music. I think it's this link right here. Alright, and then let me just grab that real quick. Oh my goodness, I keep getting sent back to the wrong place. Well, alright. Oh, where's some good music that I can listen to so I don't get in trouble? Twitch. Free music. What is sweet. Got to learn from our only Art Hope Obi-Wan Al. Obi-Wan. I like that. Yeah, I hope you guys learned something here. I hope I don't waste a lot of your time. If I do, you know, sorry. But I think this should be good. I think this, what I'm thinking we should do today is, so we got this pretty killer boss right here, right? So this is all done in Cinema 4D. And this is like a real-time render of what he looks like. And it's one object. It's got two materials on here that will eventually bake down into one material. And then we got this kind of a nice, beautiful sheen and reflection and all this other good stuff. And I really think he's pretty solid. This guy was created by a good friend of mine named Brian. And he's got a little busy, though. And so what we want to do is create a halberd. It's one of those giant pikes with the axe blade onto it. And let's see. I think that would look incredibly cool. David, we are using Cinema 4D. Now, if you guys are watching this, you're like, man, I can't afford Cinema 4D, yada, yada, yada. That's cool. But this is the free version. Actually, this isn't the demo version, but the demo version is exactly the same as this. So there is absolutely nothing on here that you can't do downloading the free version of Cinema 4D, the body paint version. And I'm going to kind of go through some of the things I'm going to do to create the halberd on this guy. And you can actually download the free version on let's see, maxon.net, and this is where Cinema 4D exists, and it's just the try area, and there's like the body paint version that you download. So you just enter in this little information and you hit download demo version and it installs. It's a long download though, so I mean it's a pretty big one, but this is what I do all my damage on. The Lite version, David asked, are we using the Lite version of this? I don't believe the Lite version has body paint. Let me verify. C4D Lite body paint. If it does, excellent. But I don't think it does. Let's see. Do they even have Lite anymore? Cinema 4D Lite. Oh, here it is right here. General workflow, we don't care. Where is it? Would it be in materials and textures? No. Let's do a find. Yeah, well, that. Yeah. Thank you for the obvious link right there. So let's see. Ghost Dad, you said, is it a limited trial or it just had? It is a limited trial, so it is 42 days. And the only difference between the full version and the regular version is there's like a watermark on the actual render. But since we're not rendering, we're building, you're not going to have a watermark on anything. So all you have to do, if you never want to buy it, and is you could just download the demo, and after 42 days, create another email and download the demo again. And after 42 days, download the demo. You don't even have to download the demo. You just have to create a new key. So it's the same one that you just keep reopening over and over again. Let's see. I know Maxon's not going to like me saying that. I don't see where it says body paint on C4D Lite. Let me see. Camera. I don't think I see it in rendering. I don't see body paint in here. It includes all features of Cinema 4D Prime and blah blah blah. Yeah, I honestly, guys, I don't see where it is. But yeah, if you don't see body paint, and the easiest way you can tell is in Cinema 4D, go to layout, and you should have like these BP edit and the BP paint. And if you don't have either one of those in your version of Cinema 4D, then you don't got body paint. Exactly. Register node reply at gmail.com. Well, you're going to have to get your key somehow, though. So go to Gmail and create like a weird account that only you know, and then you're going to get the key and you'll be set. But all right. Well, cool. So let's create a halberd. And what I'm thinking is I love going to one of my favorite sites in the world for inspiration. That's DeviantArt. There's so much cool stuff that you can find on it. Let's see. So let's go HALBERD. And then we're going to do not maybe what's hot. All right. So we're going to get some cool looking axes here. And, this one is, I think, would look insanely cool with our kind of our soldier that's protecting the gate so that our character can't leave. So I think that one right there will probably be the killer one that we're going to use. So how about we go ahead, we can model it, and then we could start body painting it and kind of go from there. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and drop this into my Photoshop world. And I'm going to... David says Cinema 4D is not the only 3D graphic software for Unity art assets. Right. Absolutely not. There are so many 3D art assets out there. There is, on the sculpting end, there's Sculptress, there is ZBrush, there is Cinema 4D for modeling and sculpting and like the whole package. There's like Blender and Cinema 4D, and there's also Maya, and there's so much for painting. There is 3D Coat. There's Substance Designer, which is a really hot one right now. I mean, there's so many different tools out there to do 3D art. But I would say overall, when it comes to 3D art, the top ones, in my opinion, right now are like ZBrush, and if you're doing character or object art, you want to stick with like a ZBrush. You want to stick with a Sculptress. You want to stick with a Cinema 4D or a Maya. I think those are like the 3D Max. But specifically for sculpting organic, I think you're going to want to stick with like a ZBrush or something like that. But it doesn't mean you can't do all those other things in other 3D programs. So I prefer to stick with Cinema because, you know, yeah, I can do pretty decent sculpts in it, but I can also do a lot of rigging and characters, environments, painting, matte painting, all this other stuff. So, and you can't really do that in a ZBrush. ZBrush is a sculpting tool, so you're not going to get any of that stuff. So it's really, it's hard to say. You could use a lot of different assets out there, a lot of tools to create your assets. Now the question is, which one is the best? It's really up in the air. It's what you could use. Blender does work. A lot of people use Blender for video game art. The problem that people run into when they create video game art is they ignore certain things like baking your textures, UV mapping, things like that. And that really, you know, it's kind of like when people say, oh, Unity can't do art like Unreal can. Well, you know, we have examples out there that show that you can create art in Unity that's just as good as what you can create in Unreal. It's just those guys who've been doing it, they're geniuses. They're amazing. They're so good at what they do. So yes, no, you can absolutely do this stuff in Blender. I prefer not to. I like using Cinema 4D, but if it makes I think you'll dig this. The guy that is created right here was created by my buddy Brian, and he uses Blender. And so he modeled this character in Blender, and but he didn't do the painting. The painting was done in Substance Painter, right? So, you know, it's just a different form. I've never used, Engineer Duck says, I've never used Blender for baking normals. Is it fairly straightforward? Yes, baking all your channels is very straightforward, but there's a big difference between, is it easy to bake and is it going to be one of those things that makes painting and all that other stuff phenomenally easy and fun to do. And if I were to scale the baking or the painting, like the materials in the baking, I would say Substance and 3D Coat are really at the top when it uses the painting to bake out your textures. And then I think Cinema 4D is right underneath there. And I think Maya and 3D Max and Blender are like at the bottom, honestly. So David says, so the output would be compatible with OBJ format. Yes. So here's the idea. So I brought this in as an FBX, but it's an OBJ. And here's all the assets that come in with a model that is either OBJ or FBX. So if you want to design your own stuff, you definitely can. It's not a big deal. So you OBJ, FBX, you know, whatever 3D format you want to use is always this like executable, and it's a 3D geometry, right? And this 3D geometry is going to have your model, but it's also going to have this little tag, which is universal, called your UV map. And your UV map is, let me bring this back over. So your UV map looks like this. And what it is it's taking all your UVs. It's taking all your sides of your polygon that are flattened, and it's coordinating it onto your 3D geometry. So it's going from like one side to the other, and it's telling your 3D program that this polygon needs to have this color in this location. And if you look at these maps, this is what they look like colored in. So let's see, where's the color for the armor? Here we go. So this is like the base color for the armor, and you could kind of see like the chainmail. So they talk to each other and they tell exactly what it's supposed to be. So when I say, does it bake out? After you paint in your model from this perspective or this perspective, you hit the bake button and it just creates this image texture, right? And then you can take this image texture and basically hand it over to any 3D program as long as it's an FBX or an OBJ. If the quality isn't clear, change it to 720 manual. Oops. And then it can go from there. And then you can hand that to anything. Let's see. Got a couple more questions. I hope that answered your question, David. And I know there's a delay. I apologize for that. But it's just kind of how the things go. Doesn't Photoshop manipulate 3D textures? I have tried 3D in Photoshop a couple times, and I've hated it. And it's just... Photoshop also has apparently a video editing feature to it, and I've tried that before. It's not even close. Not even close, you know? If you're going to do like 3D texture manipulation, you're going to want to stick to a 3D program. You're going to want to stick to one of the big 3D programs out there. And I would just go with that. But yeah, so with my boss character, so my buddy Brian, he sends me this FBX, and he has all these channels on here. And then in my material, all I have to do is go to my my layout, which is right here. And then in my material, like for this, I'm using my Reflectance channel. And, you know, he has certain textures that are labeled. So he'll say, you know, here's my base color. So I'll drop my base color in my body. And since the UV maps map to the texture channel, it aligns perfectly. And then it says down here, my reflection strength. So that's kind of like your metallicness in Unity. So I go ahead and grab my metallic PNG, which what this is saying is the areas that are white are going to have a lot of reflectiveness. And the areas that are black are going to be kind of like cloth. They're going to have very low reflectivity. And so I can drop that into my metallic. And then when it comes to the normal map or the roughness, now this is a great channel right here. So the roughness channel, it determines how rough your metal is. So there's like the shiniest type of metal, and then there's like the kind of rough aluminum can kind of metal. There's no reflection. You can't see your face in it, kind of thing. And that really adds a huge level of detail to your character. And then of course there's the normals. So all I have to do is just drop those in, and bam, we're ready to go. So yeah, exactly, Hagato. It's no fun to do that kind of stuff in Photoshop. Definitely stick to your 3D program, your Blender, your Max, your Maya, your Cinema 4D. And again, if you choose to use any other 3D program, dude, 100% go with it. It's what you're comfortable with. You're an artist. You can pull this off. I prefer Cinema because I've used it a long time, and I know it can do the things that the other programs can. And you know, just when the day comes where it's like it can't do it, I'll stop. I'll go to something else. But I know the Maxon guys enough to know that they love their product, they love their stuff, they take a lot of pride in building it, and it works really well. So we were talking about the Halberd, and we're going to create this really cool looking axe pike for our character. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this thing, and I'm going to save it in my job folder real quick. Assets, artwork. Let's do this, call this enemies. And then I'm going to create another folder called weapons. And then we're going to create another folder called Halberd. And I'm going to do this as a JPEG. Halberd outline is what I'm going to call it. And we'll save it as high. Sorry, the saving's going on the other screen. And I'm going to bring this in to Cinema 4D so I can have an outline. So I'm going to go hide this. And I'm going to go to my... This is kind of my front view. And if I go to my options and I go to configure, I can go to the back area. And right here it says image. I can click in that area, and I can go to, let's say, my assets, artwork, enemies, weapons, halberd outline, and I can drop in my image in the background. Now, this thing is absolutely huge, so I'm going to have to do some adjustments. I'm going to bring my scale down so I can get it to a place where, yeah, you know, this will look awesome with my character. And let's see. I think that should be a pretty good size right there, right? What do you guys think? I like it. I think that'll be awesome. It's intimidating. Actually, we can even bump it up a little bit more. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh man, that guy looks scary. All right, so we got the halberd blocked in. And this is kind of cool because sometimes you want to do like character art, and you can actually adjust your transparency. So if you want to kind of use this as kind of a guideline to draw, then you can definitely use these in multiple views. So I could put this in my front view, and I could put it in my side view, my top view, etc., etc., and get this artwork in. So at this point, what I want to do is I kind of want to create my axe part up here. So I'm just going to go to my pen tool, and I'm just going to draw out my pen, my axe. And I'm sure you guys can kind of see the arc, and the Bezier tool is kind of mixed into one, so it's functions and flows really similar to like an Illustrator. So bam, and then we'll cut this over here, and we'll close that off. So we got our halberd spline right here. And then what I would like to do is we can just extrude this. So up here we have these this pull down tab for these subdivision surfaces, and if I drop this down, there's an extrusion, and all I have to do is drop my spline under the extrusion, and you notice how it created a 3D version of the extrude, and you can turn it on and off and see what it looks like. But the reason why I want to do the extrusion is because inside here there's a caps feature. And inside the caps, I could say, you know, I want to fillet this so that it kind of creates the edge automatically. And I believe I can constrain it as well. Ew, that looks horrible. Let's see. That edge is going to be a problem. Let me think. You know, that may become an issue because I think the edges are going to overlap each other. So before I do that, how about, in keeping with the form of this, what I'll do is I'll create another spline. And I'm going to hit my center button to center my axe. And I'm just going to grab my points. Just like that. And this is nothing more than using a lot of ERTs to move around. I'm sure you guys have dealt with that in the past if you've done any 3D programming. Very similar to a Maya or a Max. Really nothing new. And there we go. All right. So we did that real quick. So we got one edge right here. So I'm going to move this out for a little bit, like on this side. So what is that? Let's do a -2, and then we'll call this, well, we'll make that's spline 1. We'll call this spline 2, and then we'll create a third one, spline 3, and we'll make this 2. So it goes from small to big to small. And then we should be able to just do a what is it? A loft. And there we go. All right. Now, let's see. Let's take a look at these. Configure, view. I turned this off while I was working last time. Select wireframes. All right, let's take a look at those wireframes, and those look like garbage. So I'm going to go to my object, and I'm going to increase my mesh subdivision. I'm going to reduce my vertical subdivision, though. And that fixed all the raggedness. But the other issue, let's see, it doesn't have that sharpness, and I believe that's because of my Fong. So if I turn on my Fong, now I get my angle breaks back, and that creates that sharpness in my my axe edge. So that's that. That was pretty quick. And then we'll just do painting for the rest of it to add the detail. Let's see. What's a loft? Is it like joining paths in Illustrator? Here's what a loft is. So let's say I were to create a circle, right? And I create another circle and another circle, and I change the angle and position. What it's going to do is if I create a loft, it's going to take those 3 elements and create a shape out of it. And then I can move my circle any way I want. So if you want to create like a worm or anything cylindrical or square, or you got these certain shapes that you want it to abide by and just kind of stack in a row, that's what you'd use a loft for. Now, this differs a little bit because there's a couple other things in this box. Like there's an extrude, which only takes one shape. And so let's say it was to take the extrusion. It would take this circle, and you would extrude it. Now, it only takes that one shape and makes an extrusion from that one shape. So it's singular. And then there's Lathe, which is a simple piece to do. So let's say I went on the side and I wanted to create a vase, which is such a common thing for the lathe. So let's say I drew a vase bottle like this, right? And I only drew the spline. What it would do is it would create a 3D object by creating like a cylinder deformation and wrap it around, which is what lathing is. And then there's sweeps, and sweeps are I use sweeps a lot, actually. Sweeps are kind of like lofts, but with lofts you could change the shape. Extrusion to me is just adding thickness to a 2D shape. That's exactly what it is, David. You are 100% correct. The difference between like a loft and a sweep is with a loft you have like these multiple shapes, but they could be different types of shapes that go over stuff, go along this path. Whereas a sweep, let's say you draw a line, and then you have a circle, and then you do your sweep. It will take your circle shape and move that along your spline. And then, in here you can go in and adjust your caps, or I know you can adjust like details, like, you can adjust your scale at one end. So let's say if you want it thin at one, and then, let's say the shape had to rotate in some way or another at one end or whatnot, it's real easy to do like that. And then the other one, the lathes are good for creating complex cylinders. Yeah. Truthfully, David, I rarely ever use a lathe unless it's either a perfect cylinder or it's a like a vase of some sort. Rarely do I ever use this. The ones I use the most are the extrusion and usually the sweep, and kind of go from there. And we could even do a tool right here where let's go ahead and we can create this axe, and it'd be kind of cool because then we can give this axe a little life using how about I wouldn't use a lathe here, but we can use a sweep right here. So we'll go ahead and we'll create a straight line that goes directly down, and then you create a circle, which is kind of the actually, we're not, well, yeah, let's go ahead and create a circle, and then let's go ahead and use a sweep, and we can throw this down like that. So you could see we got this really thick axe handle right here. And what we'll do is we'll go to our sweep, and I'm going to adjust my circle a little bit size-wise. So ERT, as I'm adjusting the size of the circle, it's adjusting the shape of the actual axe handle. And then I can go into my sweep tool and, seeing how these scale, I can adjust the scale of the top so that it's bigger at the edge, and then I can kind of shrink it down in certain areas so it's like wider at the base, and then it kind of sharpens up at the end. So it's taking this and here, let's go ahead and add this back. So there we go. So now if we look at this axe handle, you see how it's like thinner at the top, then thicker, and then it changes shape and adjusts all the way down to create that axe handle really quickly. Now this is bad. When you click on a 3D object and it basically turns white, that's not good. It just means that there are way too many polygons in it. So usually to adjust that, you would adjust the angle percentage. So at 0, this thing should be like pure white. But when you increase the angle percentage, it lowers the amount of geometry. And I usually do that to kind of fix my geometry so it's not so darn intense. Now, since we're doing 2D sprites, it really doesn't matter. But if you get into 3D modeling and stuff, it's not good. So I'll make sure that it's not pointed at the tip. And there we go. And I think that should work. So let me hit this axe. Since we're not going to really concern ourselves too much about this, I don't think we have much to worry. I think these two things are good. And is there anything else we need to do for this halberd? I think everything else I may just paint in, so we'll be good. All right, so we have these two objects, so I'm just going to hit C. And what C does is it takes it from a not a procedural. What do they call these objects? I'm gonna hit myself later. Yes, I'm gonna hate myself for forgetting what we call these. David, your goal is to reduce the total number of polygons for 3D development, right? Yeah, it's a good idea to make sure that your 3D, the total amount of polygons you use is not exorbitant. The higher polygons that you use, especially in game engines, the more you're gonna regret it later on. Especially now that since game engines can use your normals and it can use height maps and it can use other forms of texture to create surfaces that don't need to be polygons, it's better to use a lot of low polygon stuff and then add in the texture with your or add in the detail with your textures. So like this character right here, if I click on the guard, that's how many polygons he has. He is not a high polygon object. It's just you're seeing the normal channels, you're seeing the bump channels, you're seeing the sculpt that occurred, and it's fooling your eyes into thinking, oh my god, he's way more detailed than he actually is. But yeah, like this is a great example of how many polygons you really want to keep your character. You don't want him, walking around. How many polygons does this guy have? This guy probably has so he has 2,400 polygons. So triangle-wise, he's got a little under 5,000 triangles when he runs in your game. Now, here's how the math works. 5,000 triangles in your game. That's just the color. So then you got to add your reflection paths. Then you got to add in your normals. Then you got to add in the self-shadows. And by then, you're just doubling up every single time. So this 5,000 polygon character could easily become 25... I'm sorry, this 5,000 triangle character can easily become a 25,000 triangle character in your game engine because you have to do multiple passes on the 3D character. So keeping it low is good because, let's say we have the soldier and then we have 50 of them on screen. Your graphics card's not going to be able to handle that very well, especially if it's, the graphics card is something off of your Samsung S5 or something like that, and it's dying out there. So yes, keep your polygon count low. It's just good practice. If you don't need it, don't use it. Fortunately for us in this situation, we're again doing sprites, so we're rasterizing all this, so this doesn't even mean anything. We can have 1 billion polygons on here, but I like to keep it lower because it's just easier to UV unwrap and paint. So I press C and this turns this into just a regular polygon object. And let's see, this is your axe handle, halberd handle, and this is our halberd blade. So David asks, is there an optimal amount of polygons? There was a sheet that came around. So just to give you an idea, if I do recall, PlayStation 3 Joel in The Last of Us was like 35,000 triangles. I believe what's his face? The Castlevania game that came out for PlayStation 3. The main character was something like 25,000 triangles. There's actually in the Discord chat a great excuse me. Yes, code. You know the counts, man. There's definitely a great list that came up that showed exactly how many triangles and polygon counts each character had. And yeah, like if you're going on mobile, don't go high. You stay around, 3,000, 5,000 polygons. But if you're going platform or PC, yeah, I mean, I think the Arkham Knight Batman was like 100,000 triangles, if I'm not mistaken. It was big, but yeah. But if you can get away with it, don't do it. Yeah, there's no need. So we got our halberd handle and our blade. Let's get our null object, and we're going to just drop these things underneath. And let's see. We're going to call. So all this is doing is just taking both of these objects and dropping it under one thing. You can't post link. Oh, let's see. Where is code? Code. Let's see. Code posted this link before, and I was like, wow, that's insane. And I know it was pinned somewhere too. I think it was pinned in the 3D channel. So what we're looking at, if you guys don't know, is we're going to our Discord channel, and we're searching for a pinned list of polygons that basically showed how many polygons you can have in the game, comparing like real game development and stuff like that. There you go, code. Yeah, a max of 10,000. Yeah, you stay around that range. Don't go crazy. Okay, so unfortunately my modeling is done. I know you guys are expecting more, but it was actually pretty quick. So let me go ahead and make sure I save this, because I don't want to redo this. So boss guard model. And then what I want to do now is I want to start UV unwrapping my stuff. So I go to my layout, and I go to, you can build your own custom UV. You can build your own custom windows in Cinema 4D, which is kind of nice. And I like certain aspects of the UV unwrapping base look, but it's missing certain tools that I always use, and so I've kind of created my own layout, which I can definitely share for everyone on the Discord if you ever do decide, or just PM me, and I'll send it to you. So I created this custom body paint layout, and if I click on this halberd right here, this thing looks hideous, and the reason being is because this UV right here is the outward edge, and you see how like it's laying flat and it's filling up the full screen, and then this halberd shape is laying on top of that this steel part. If we were to try to create a texture over it, we'd be in real trouble, just because what would end up happening is both the textures would assume the same, because it's a UV map and they're laid against each other, the textures would assume each other's UV coordinates, and so you would see like weird artifacting. You'd see this really sharp edge right here. This would look all stretched and distorted, and I'm sure you've dealt with this in some other 3D assets, and it's just it doesn't look good. It's ugly. Did you use a Bezier curve for the handle of the axe? So I used a Bezier curve to draw the handle of the axe, and then I used a loft, and I adjusted the size of the loft along the edge of the Bezier curve code. So I'm going to UV map this real quickly so that it it will work better with what we want, which is to flatten it out, to make it easy to read, and every texture element has its own space on our UV map, on our UV texture. So what I will do is I actually don't even want to do, I want to do literally just one side, and then I want to do the other side. So I'm going to go to my my polygon tools, and I'm going to use my polygon select tool, and I'm going to select my outer rim. Ooh, this is really good too. Okay, so you notice how the colors are different, right? One is yellow and one is blue. All right, blue is bad. Blue is reversed. And to fix this, you just select your polygons, press U, and if you press the R button, it says reverse normals. So now everything on this side is yellow. And then I want to select all these and press U, R, and now all of my UVs are aligned and facing the correct direction, okay? If you don't do this, what ends up happening is you put it in the game and like those polygons are invisible and you see right through it. Very bad. And that's because game engines only render one side of the polygon to save on efficiency. So I want this side of my polygon to be one face. So I'm going to select the outward edge, which is what I selected right here. And then there's this fill tool that I grabbed right here. And I can just hold shift and select everything inside of here. So this half is selected and this isn't. And then what I can do is I can go to my front view and then projection, hit frontal. And look at that. If I go to my UV mode, I can see I can move around my UVs right here. And all these UVs look correct. You know, it evenly fits this. And I'm just going to draw on that. And so that's totally perfectly fine. And yeah, then I'm just going to go hit the U, and I think it's I, and I'm going to invert. And then I'm going to go back to my front view, and I'm just going to hit frontal. And then I'm going to go, what should I do? Should I reverse it? I think it's, where is it? Where is the reverse UVs? I think if I just simply go to my camera and go to back and frontal, I can reverse that. And then I can go back to my front view and I'll be good. So I got my two edges of my axe. And some people like to take both edges and just merge them on top of each other, which you can do. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing. If you can afford it, good idea. And that's one of the things I know cinema doesn't do that very well, unfortunately. You'd have to kind of like manually size it. Ugh, it's annoying. But let's see how this looks at a power of 2. Preserve orientation is what I want to keep, and I want to hit realign. No, don't break it apart. Okay, so what ended up happening here is I pressed this button and it broke it apart. That's because I didn't optimize my my file. Once you optimize it, if the edges were touching each other, they now weld together to create the other. Yes, David, you are totally correct. Can't you work on one side and reflect it to the other? You can. I just want to see first if these two things are going to make much of a difference. Yeah, we probably should. So select these. I'm going to go back here, display, back. I'm going to project this frontal, and then I'm going to select all these and I'm going to realign them. And then, you know, you could select this and basically move it on top. So they're one gigantic UV map. And then we can scale it up. Yeah, we're not getting much more as far as polygon goes, though. We're not, or texture-wise, we're not getting a whole lot of extra texture. But we could do it this way. It's no big deal. Personally, I prefer the other way where we split the two faces up, because then I can make one face look different than the other face. Like I can splash blood on one side and it looks different than the blood on the other, but you know, it's really what you prefer. So that was UV mapping this axe handle. And then what I want to do is I want to select my halberd, and in my display I'm going to go back to front, and something easy that can be done since this is a cylinder is we can actually go to project and go to cylinder, and it, oh god, that's horrible looking, isn't it? Let's take a look. There's the box projection. Oh man, this isn't gonna be good. I want to keep these all together, but maybe we need to split these UVs up into halves. So I can just go ahead, select all these UVs up here, and just disconnect them like that. And what I can do, ooh, here's an idea. What I can do when I do that, ooh, even better yet. You know what I'm going to do? I got it. Oh, it just hit me. So I'm going to go to my polygon mode, and I'm going to, where are you? Ah, there you go. I got a tool right here. So I'm going to loop this edge right here at the top, and I'm going to slice this cylinder up. And then I'm going to select this tool called path selection. And I'm literally going to draw down the edge of this cylinder. Oops. So that will draw right down to here. And then I'm going to loop the edge at the bottom. All right, so we're going to have 3 pieces. And what I can do is then I can go to my polygon and select this. And I can go to my frontal. And then I can go to my relax. And let's see what happens when I relax this. I'm going to go to relax. I'm going to say cut selected edges. I'm not going to pin points to the border. And let's see how it works. Okay, so it looks like it did exactly what it was supposed to do. And then I'm going to optimize and realign it. Alright, so let's take a look. Yes, okay, so this worked. So what did I do here? Because you guys are probably like, what is he doing? Okay, so here's the idea, is that when you do UV mapping, you want to basically take your polygon and you want to unwrap it, right? So we have this cylinder. And what we want to do, using my trusty coffee mug, so I literally want to slice it down one side, right here. And I kind of want to fold it out. So imagine this like logo right here, this 20th anniversary motion media ball. Just everything on it unfolds. Then what I can do is I can paint on this, and then it will draw on the cylinder. But when you slice it, you have to slice the edges. So you notice how I sliced the top. Because if I try to unwrap this with this cylinder, it would be like this scrunched up ball, because the cylinder is holding onto it on the top and the bottom. So you cut holes, slices on the bottom, and you cut slices on the top. So then this turns into like a tube, and then you just unroll it. And this top becomes its own cylinder, and this bottom becomes its own cylinder. So what did we do? If you look here, so we have this top that's been cut right here, correct? And we have the bottom that's been cut right here. Now we hit relax, and it unfolded it for us, okay? Now, one of the problems is that, you know, shape-wise, this is just a really long object, and we're not getting a lot of that texture inside of it. So for us, what I'm thinking, which would be good, is if I select, let's say, these polygons right here, I'm going to assume that's going to be for this halberd, we'll make it like a steel at the top, right? So this unwrap is going to be steel. And then this section right here will be kind of like a metallic, not a metallic piece. It'll be like a cloth leather thing that you can use to hold on to that piece. And then this will be steel again all the way down here. These two parts. So if I select everything on here and I say go ahead and realign again, now I got the same relaxed polygons, and you can even relax it again if you want, and it's not going to change. And what the LSCM and the ABF are like different different algorithms used to relax your UVs. But now when I create this power of 2 texture, it's going to have more to grab onto. There's that texture is going to apply itself to more areas in this this map. But I also like making sure that, you know, I don't make this larger. I like them in proportion, because if I draw across it, I don't want my brush to like change sizes. Now I'll show you that in a little bit, but that's why I leave the UV maps kind of like this. So I lose this area for detail, but that's okay. That's okay. Okay, so the axe halberd has been unwrapped. The blade has been unwrapped. And I want to check... let me see. I'm going to check YouTube real quick to make sure that I don't have any comments before I jump on to the next phase. Let's see. Yeah, no comments so far. Perfect. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start texturing this blade. So I'm going to go to material. And in here, I already have 3 materials, right? So I got my... So just to kind of show you what 3 materials I have. In this Startup RR view, we have our environment, which if I turn on this scene by camera, this is the HDR map that is reflecting onto my metal. And then I turn that off by turning off the scene by environment on this composite tag. Then I got the armor body for the guard, and then the armor for the guard and the body for the guard. And they're using 2 different selection tags. So I want to create a new tag or a new material for the halberd blade, and then a new material for the handle. So let's go ahead and start with the blade. So in create, I go to new material, and I found that you have to do a little adjustments to really make sure that we're following proper PBR workflow here. So in my material, I'm going to call this halberd. And I'll call this Halberd Blade. And I'm going to drop my material onto my blade, right? And then I'm going to click on this X right here. And this X turns it on in body paint. Now, in here, if we look at our material, we got things that shouldn't be done. First, the color is turned on. We don't use color this way here. Well, so we're going to turn off color, and we're only going to use reflectance. But in reflectance is using this this default specular. So what is reflectance? Reflectance is your reflection channel. That's what they call it in cinema. And the idea behind it is that you can create multiple reflectance or reflectance channels using things that are commonly found in the PBR workflow system, such as you can create a reflection system. So there's like the Beckman reflection algorithm. There's the GGX. You can create anisotropic, which is kind of the the aluminum metal that has kind of like the striated lines through it. There is Lambertian, which is your color diffuse channel, and there's two types. There's Oren-Nair, and Lambertian, and then there's like cloth, and there's the old legacy ones. So we're going to use Beckman here, and we're going to delete specular. And you notice how like our axe handle is just really shiny chrome. It's ugly. It's not what we want. In here, we can go to our layer, and we are going to set this up to be a proper PBR system. So in Halberd, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to textures. And right in here, there's a whole bunch of different channels in here. And what I want to do is I want to create a roughness texture. So I'm going to set this to like 100%. And you can kind of see in real time what it does. I'm going to go click on Halberd, texture channels, and I'm going to create a custom. Or actually, I'm going to create a right click, texture channels, reflectance, and we're going to choose our layer 1. And I'm going to rename our layer 1, which was the GGX. I'm going to call this our reflection channel, or we can call it reflectance, whatever you want. So in our reflection, if I right click, texture channels, reflectance, I call this reflection. And so I'm going to call this, what should I call this? I would say reflection base. And I'm going to set these always to a power of 2. So 512, 1024. I'm going to go 2048 by 2048. Okay. And I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to save this. Now, what does that do? That means that in my current job, where is this? This should be boss model guard. See, reflection based TIFF was just saved inside that folder where my boss guard model sat. So I know that's in there. It's saved. It will never change. It's always going to be in there. So then what I do is I say, all right, now I want to add additional channels in body paint and make sure that they always attach themselves to it. So I click on my roughness and I say texture channel and I say customize, and I'm going to call this my roughness, right? And I'm going to do Halberd roughness, and I'm going to save that. So in here, I can say in bitmaps, always use Halberd roughness. So now I have my roughness texture connected. And you see how the reflection channel appeared, or the reflecting button appeared, and there's this new roughness in here, right? Then I want to say, all right, I want to click on my reflection strength, and I want to say, hey, Halberd, I want you to be my reflection, or metallicness is what we call it in cinema, right? So let's call it metallic. More metallic, more like metal. Less metallic, more like cloth, right? So I'm going to say okay. And then in my reflection strength, I'm going to go to my bitmaps and I'm going to say use metallic. Perfect. And then for my reflection base, currently it is using my layer color, and it is using, what is it, reflection base? Perfect. So then let me make sure. Uh-oh. I pressed something. Let me make sure that's correct. This one didn't come in correctly, so let me make sure this is working. I don't want to lead you guys the wrong path, down the wrong path. All right, so roughness, I got there. My reflection strength, texture channels, Let me see. Sorry, it should have done something different. And I don't like that. So I want to make sure that this is done correctly. Because this is going down here in our color channel. And I don't want that. So let me see something. Something's going off. So let's see. Textures. I should only have 3. So if I click on the halberd, this is on. And then in my basic, I turned off that. So the color should be off. I go and I click on my, let's do a custom from disk. And I want to choose, which one is it? Dungeon Escape, Artwork, Cutscene Night, no, Boss Model Guard. I want to use my, there's reflection base. Where is everything else? That's not good. All right, let me make sure I do this right, because this does not look right, and I don't like that. So, layer 1, roughness, select roughness, right click. We're going to do, make sure, why did it go change the name? Reflectance, right? And in here, I'm going to attach my reflectance layers. Just like that. Okay. So that's my reflectance channel right there. And then in my roughness channel, I want to create a new texture, a custom, called roughness. And hit OK. And inside here, I should have this as roughness. So if I, and this is not working. What is happening? Why isn't it working? Ah! Alright, this ain't cool. This is not cool. Alright, let me see this. I don't like this. Alright, cancel. No. Something happened funny with the material. I don't like that. Alright, halberd. Drop that onto here. We don't want a color channel. We just want a reflectance channel. So, sorry guys. Technical difficulties. So in here, we're going to add our Beckman. We're going to get rid of our default. We're going to call this Reflectance. We're going to go to color, and we're going to turn it off. Right? Here, let me do this. Reflectance. That's good. Color off. Let's see. Why are you still there? Go away, color. Color should not be here. Why is it staying? All right. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. The color should not be staying. The color should disappear. And for it to still stick around is a bad thing. Let's see. Texture. Let me close all textures. No. So on our reflectance channel, Let me add my roughness. Oops. Okay. So right click, texture channel. Custom. Actually, let me go to disk, because we've built this a couple times already. Dungeon. Roughness. Roughness. Hit. Okay. Texture is roughness. Set this to 100, let's say 50% right now, so we could see this. And wow! Oh, this is interesting. Oh, that's not supposed to happen. I wonder why that is. No way. I apologize, everyone. This isn't supposed to happen. Why is it happening? Oh, no. No, no, no. This ain't good. This is really bad, actually. Is there something wrong? Maybe I need to restart this, because something's glitching here. Let me restart Cinema, because that shouldn't happen. That's 100% shouldn't happen. Okay. So I'm going to go to File, Recent, Bossguard Model, and pull up my Halberd again. And I'm going to go back to my UV Edit mode. And I'm going to select my Halberd. And I'm going to go to my materials. And I'm going to right click, texture channels. And where's my reflectance? Okay. There's my reflectance layer finally. Now, if I create a new custom channel, let's do metallic. Then in here, if I select my roughness, reflection strength, interesting. Man, I don't know why it's doing that. Huh. This is a real bug. I apologize, guys. This isn't good. This is exactly what's not supposed to happen. The reason being is this color channel should basically disappear. It shouldn't even be on here because we're not using color. And for it to actually be there is an indication that something is wrong with this material. I don't think a new PBR material will make a difference, but let me test this out real quick. So if I go to right-click, texture, reflectance, and like a default reflection, and then in my basic, I make sure, yeah, woof, Can I undock? Nope. That just takes it out of here. Can I... Wow. That should not occur. The reflectance layer should not even be there. Or the color channel should not even be there. Because then, if I select this, and I select, let's say, my default reflection, and then I select my reflection strength, I should be able to create a custom channel for it. And it should add it in the reflection channel, but it's not doing it. Why did you not do that? No! Ah! Oh, that's so frustrating. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Alright, guys. I don't know what's happening. Well, alright. That just means I have to do this a different way, and I don't want to do it that way. Okay. So, here's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to build this in the color channel just for right now, because I want to make sure you guys actually see how this works. But I know this is going to get fixed. And I'm going to figure it out later tonight, and then I'm going to be angry at myself. But I want to show you guys how this works. So, let's see. If I do my color channel, which is right there, I have the ability to actually draw in this color channel. So I can create, and to draw on it, all I have to do is click this 3D painting mode enabled, right? And I select whatever channel I want. And then I can draw on my UV 2D, or I can actually draw on my axe handle in 3D. So, and, you know, you can draw on the back, and because we're mirroring the UVs, you see how it mirrors it on both sides? And there's two ways of drawing in Cinema. There's the 2D mode, which this is very much a 2D mode. So if we see this circle right here, you see how the circle is perfectly round, and it draws itself perfectly round on here. And there's also another mode called projection mode. And projection mode is going to take your current view, which is this 3D view, and it's going to draw onto it. So if I draw like this, actually, let me just draw a circle. So if I draw this circle like this, you see how it turns into an oval over on this side? It's because I'm actually at an angle on this axe, which is creating this weird distortion. Now, that's actually pretty good, though, in a lot of ways, because sometimes it's hard to draw in either perspective. Sometimes you want to project your color onto multiple objects. You know, let's say it's a shadow, or it's a texture that you want on multiple objects, and you want to paint on both. That's the way you would go about it. So with this, I want to paint onto this halberd a metallic texture and really make this thing look good from our art perspective. So let's see. We had this preview of this texture. Where was that? Artwork, enemies, weapons, halberd, and preview it. So we had this thing, it's like metallic, and it's got this edging on it, and then it's got this like nice little intricacies drawn into it. So let's kind of take that idea. So I want to get online, and I want to find a like metal texture, right? So I'm going to look for some sort of metal texture, kind of like, well, that's really small. I don't want to get too big. Something like this, right? So I'm just going to copy this image. And then I'm going to go back to my body paint. And I'm going to go to, let's say, this mode right here, this perspective. And in my UV2D, I'm just going to hit paste. And that's going to drop my texture onto here, right? Now, I can hit my bitmap, transform bitmap. So, let's see. Do, 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 do. Oh, man, this is bugging out completely. What the heck is going on? This ain't good. Let's see. I should be able to move this. I should also be able to grab the edges. Please make a selection. Come on. Work with me here, cinema. Alright, let's try this again. Paste. Oh my god, you are so bugging out on me today. It's not even funny. Alright, I don't need to make a selection. You should be able to select the whole thing. Alright. So I'm going to set this texture right here. And then, what am I going to do? I think what I want to do is I want to find something really cool looking as far as like ornamental metal. So something kind of like this, right? What can we do? How about... something slick. What would be slick? What would be slick? Maybe this will work right here. So let's go ahead and copy this. And then we'll paste this in. Oh my gosh. I don't know what is wrong with you today. You do not want to work with me in the slightest. Oh. It's so weird. So we'll paste that in there like this. And then we will deselect. And what I can do is I can create a mask, kind of like what you would do in Photoshop. And we can paint that in to the edge. So, and then, let's see. So we can paint this either on the UVs, or we can paint this on the model itself. Or we can do a, let's see, a select tool. So I can go kind of use the old kind of Photoshop techniques, right? And then I can increase my brush size and just paint this stuff out right here. And then go, let's say, over here. Select that goodness right there. And then paint that mask in. All right, and then let me go ahead and fix these edges right here. And I can fix that right there. And then like this edge right here is not very sharp, so I can go back to my my lasso tool and make this really sharp by, instead of using black or 0, I can paint it in white or 100% for my mask color, and that will fix that. So now you can get kind of like an ornament kind of texture going here. And let's see, what else can we do on this? We could adjust the color of this black so that it fits more with this bluish tone. So to do that, all you would do is go to Filter and go to Color and go to Hue Saturation Colorize. And we can colorize this. We can adjust the hue. And give it some slight color. We can increase the lightness. There we go. Hit OK. And now the axe itself kind of matches that a little more. And then what I want to do is I think I want to, I don't know how much I'm digging these spirals right here. I think I may want to paint these in myself. So I'm going to go to my layer and I'm going to use like a Photoshop what do you call it? Clone tool. And I'm just going to clone all this stuff out. Right? That's gone. I didn't like that stuff anyway. And then in my mask tool, I'm going to make sure I hide this one right here. Clean that up. And then we can create another layer on top of this. And kind of, let's see, what kind of ornamental axe painting can we do? You know, this one has a very specific kind of God of War-ish type of paint. I'm trying to think of what look can I get to do that. I'm wondering if I were to take a texture like this, would that look good on that? Decisions. What is that? Metal ornamental, metal Viking texture. What's a Viking? Ooh, there we go. See, that's kind of cool. Wouldn't that be cool to have on your axe right there? I think so. Let me copy this image. And let's go ahead and do a paste right there. And then I am going to duplicate our mask on our layer. And let's see, actually before I duplicate it, let me size this up correctly. So this thing I'll move over here. There's something I'm doing that's wrong. All visible. And then, let's see, I'm going to select this. There's a button that's off. And in my selection, I'm going to flip horizontal and then move this kind of to where the dragon is currently. Right. And then I can change my mode. So I'm going to do a filter, a color correction, and let's do a hue saturation again. We're going to turn off colorize. And then I'm going to adjust the level. So there we go. Something like that. And then we'll go for a multiply. And then I can duplicate this onto here. And then we can do a clone. Kind of stretch that out over there. So let me see something. So let's grab this all the way over here. And let's just keep it going. That paints it in like that. And then we'll stick that on the mask. And then we'll use our paint tool on the mask. And we'll adjust our pressure so that it kind of blends in. kind of situation like that. And then, what else can we do with this? Yeah, it's not the greatest looking thing. What else can we do? Let's go ahead and create... Let's do some brushwork. I'm not happy with what I'm seeing right here. I gotta be honest with you. You know, I'm gonna duplicate this layer, this metal, and I'm going to do some real quick... I'm going to do some real quick smear work. And I want to use this particular one because I think if we use this, will we get that striated? No, that didn't look right. I think this is too... I need something smaller. Let's see, did that accomplish what I want? Nope. Arabesque. Ooh, there you go. Son of a bitch. Sorry. Oh, that looks so much better. So much better. Wow. Night and day. Let's see. Arabesque. Arabesque. So good. Let's see. Which one should we use? This would be interesting. Copy image. Let's see how this looks. If we set this to like a screen. That inverted now. Overlay. Overlay is usually what I use, but that does not look good at all. So let's try something else. What would be a good metal? Maybe something less intense. Maybe this. There we go. Oh my god, this thing keeps telling me to make a selection and it's not supposed to do that. Alright, let's plot that right here. Let me see if I can invert this. Noise, other, invert. Alright, here we go. Something that's not too insane. And then, if I select my color channel again, I should be able to just duplicate this. And then move this over here. And then duplicate it again and move it over here. And then duplicate this again and move this up here. And then merge these layers down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I duplicated that again, how does that look? Let's test out these color modes. Lighten looks like crap. Screen, linear. Maybe it's be too much right there. Color dodge, too bluish. Add would be just overwhelming. Huh, soft light looks okay. I think something in between like a soft light. And then if we duplicated it and busted in a screen, you can adjust the intensities as well to give you something that will work. And then, I don't know though. I just don't know. This axe isn't speaking to me right now. I don't know what it is. I can't spend forever on it. Otherwise, I'll drive myself nuts. So let me just go ahead and clone this. And I think I may come back to it at a later time and work on it some more. So let me clone this right there. Let me clone this over here as well. Let's see. Gosh, it just doesn't look very good. Well, that looks better. I guess maybe without it. Yeah, unfortunately, I wish the art pipeline sometimes was just like an exact science. Like you just looked at it and you're like, that's it right there. There's no questioning it. Unfortunately, oftentimes it feels like it's just a whole lot of trial and error. But you know, when you got it, it's beautiful. It's amazing. Also, I must say though, like, I don't know what's going on with this, but it's not supposed to work this way. Like this button should be allowing me to make real-time adjustments, and I'm wondering if it's because I'm using this body paint version, because I got a bunch of different versions. Let me check something out real quick. You know what it may have been was that I was using... So I got a studio version as well. And it may be because the studio and body paint, because I have two versions, are conflicting with each other. I'm hoping that's it. So let me see if this is it. If I were to pull that one particular one up again... Now if I select the paint, no, holy Christ, sorry. I don't know what is going on with this. This is not supposed to work this way though. I can tell you that. Man, I don't get this. Let me do a quick Google search on why body paint hates me today. Selected this. Transform bitmap. Me's making the selection. I don't want to make a selection. I want you to transform the bitmap. Anti-aliasing, new selection. Man, that is so weird. I do not get it. Alright, what's next? I can't spend too much time on this. Let me go ahead and select this particular box. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. And then I'm going to say yes. I'm going to mask this. And then I'm going to paint this mask. All right. Something is working for me today. So I'll paint the mask, and then I'll turn on the layer below it. So we got this area where like the striations kind of meet. And then for my paintbrush, I want to use something a little harder. So I'm going to change my paintbrush, and I can manually do it like that. Or what I can do is use my selection tool and just select this right there, which will be that hard edge, and I can paint that in like that. And then I can go down to this area, which is down here on this UV. And I can go to my selection tool, select this goodness right here, and then paint this in like this. And then I can go to select let's do this, we'll invert this so we get a hard edge. And I'll go to colors, and we'll go to 100%. And we will paint this just like that. Yeah, GMA. I want to use this as a roughness channel. I'm actually going... That's where I was having the issues earlier, is I should be able to paint my color and then paint my roughness and paint my metallic. But for some odd reason, and I don't know what's glitching out, usually I can have 1, 2, 3 different channels in my reflection channel. And so I can paint on my roughness, and then I can paint on my color channel inside of my reflectance channel. And then I can paint on my my metallicness channel as well. So you can paint on all 3. Unfortunately, it's just not allowing me to do it today, which is kind of upsetting. And I don't understand why it's fighting me today. It's just, you know, it waits till you're live and then it decides to crap out on you, which is, you know, typical and standard of how things work. So, yes, that's where my frustration is lying right now. But okay. So we got this blade part painted in, black and yellow texture. Oh, wow. That stuff is still coming in from 3. Wow. That text is slow as hell. You know what? I'm going to do something. Just so that I can make sure I see your messages coming in live, I'm going to select this to make sure that I see you come in as quickly as possible. All right. And then with that's done, I'm going to hold off on this blade because this is like really frustrating me. And then let's go ahead and run to our wood. So this is our blade. And then in the wood, I'm going to turn this on. We'll turn on our color, and we'll call this wood color. And then I'll drop this wood texture onto our wood. And then if I change my wood textures, so select wood, and here's our wood texture right here. So if I go to 3D mode, I should be able to paint all on the wood as it is. So I can go to a wood texture. Or, yeah, let's do... Should we do a wood texture? Yeah. Let's see. We'll copy this wood texture image. Yeah, go ahead and send that over, GMA GD. I'm gonna paste. Let's see. Select my wood. I'm going to turn off projection painting. Man, this thing is wigging out on me. Oh. And then... There we go. Look at that. Oh. Why? Why? Why did you do that? What? You... Okay. Look at this. I press the button. Now my selection tag works. I swear. I'm like, why aren't you working? Why aren't you working? And I'm sure a bunch of you are like, yeah, he's lost it. No. Seriously, it's supposed to work. It really is. Let's see. Let's see. where should you send this? Let's see. There you go. You could just shoot me that over there. And then over for this wood, let's see. So this part's going to be our handle. So I'm going to just kind of let myself visually know. All right, this part will be my handle right there. And this dark wood will be this area right here. So actually I should put this wood, and then I'm going to create a handle. And then I will make sure that I don't paint into that area right there. And then I can take this wood and duplicate it right down here, and then duplicate this right down here. Man, you know, sometimes it's like if I have my tools and they work, I go fast. When it doesn't work and I keep failing over and over again, it's not good. It's not good. Duplicate, and I could set this over here, and then I can click this tool and I can make an adjustment on the angle, which will help me right there. And then we can go ahead and fill this in over here. And then what I'm going to do, now that we got that in here, is we can probably do a darkened overlay. So in my color, I can go, let's say, a dark color. Like a dark brown. And let's see how an overlay looks with the dark brown. All right. Now, does that look decent? It kind of matches him. It's a little reddish, though. If I set it to a soft light, that's probably a little bit better. So let me add this over here. Right, there we go. And then up here, ooh, we're going to have to do something fun with the metal right there. So let's go ahead and add in some leather texture. And we'll go with like a black leather here. And then we will adjust this height-wise so that it fits right into here. So we got this black leather that's sitting there now. And then what we can do is we can start painting the handle. So the handle will be, let's say, right here. And we got the handle right here. And then we can add in, let's say, a 45% darkness. And I'll turn off this. I'll make sure that no airbrush is on. And then we can add in another dark line. Increase the pressure, right? We can do this as a multiply, and then we can add a highlight layer. So we'll go really low. That's too strong. And then we can do kind of a highlight right on top of the UV. And set this to either screen or add. And then we can start adjusting levels. So then when you see it from here, it looks like it's like the edge of a leather strap. And then you can select that and copy and paste and drop this down.
Daddy.
What's up, dude?
Hi.
Hi. Drop this down right here. And then we can also go to, where's this light? Right here. We can select this, come on, copy, and then we can go back, paste it, just like that, onto here, and that will kind of give us our edge. And then let's see, set this to screen, so this one and this one can go together. So this is like a leather highlight, and this one and this one leather dark. And then we have this as black leather, and this is our overlay, and this is our wood. So we can quickly paint onto here, and then over here we have this this metal that's jutting out. So instead of actually rebuilding the metal, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to select my Halberd Blade, and to increase the resolution, I just double clicked on the material and went to the editor and increased the texture preview size. But for the Halberd Blade, I want this to kind of come out over the wood, because you never have the metal in the wood going through it. That would make no logical sense. So what if we do something where we can, I don't know, maybe just grab a brush and do a grab tool, and, you know, select our blade right here, and we just kind of move it out. Now you notice how one side moved and one side didn't. We want to have some sort of an evenness to this, right? We want symmetry. So we can actually choose to create symmetry. So let's see if this works. I just got to find the correct axis. So that's the Z axis. That's not it. I believe it's this. I'll find it. Ah, there you go. it's the XY axis. So I can kind of just grab this on the XY and maybe just pull this out a little bit. So that the axe is actually sticking out over this. And then we can also do the same over here. And then, let me see, I'm going to smooth this out real quick. And now, let me kind of talk to you a little bit about what's going on. Okay, so, oh my goodness, let me smooth this. So, my tool, Cinema 4D, which hasn't been cooperating with me today, might I add, has a bunch of things inside of it that try to make it like an all-inclusive product. And one of the things that it has is this really cool sculpting tool. It has a sculpting system built into it. So how does it work? Real simple. You can select your polygon object. Let's say your blade right here. And you can, let's see, now use the last black and yellow texture as alpha channel. As soon as it comes in. Okay. So it has a sculpting system built in. And what all you have to do is you have to just go up to the sculpt. And inside brushes, you can grab your palette. Now, inside of this sculpt, there are all these different tools for you to use. Now, how does it work? Real simple. All you have to do is collect a polygon object. And it has to be any polygon object, your decision. So we go to Halberd Blade, and you notice that all these elements are turned on. All right, so what do these elements do? Well, naturally, pull will allow you to grab onto or select an object. And inside here, there's a setting that will allow you to adjust your pressure and your strength and your stroke and everything like that. So how does it work? So if let's say I do a pressure of like, I don't know, 70, and I hold this down, you can see how I can deform that geometry. And I believe if you hold Command, you can actually go the opposite direction, right? So it's kind of like when you're building mountains or something like that. You can go up this direction, or you can hold Command and go down the alternate direction, right? So it's a really quick way to build landscapes and things like that. And to quickly change the size, if you hold Command and Shift, you can adjust the size of your brush. And if you hold up, you can change your pressure while holding Command and Shift. So you can go really strong, or you can go barely strong just to get those fine little details, right? And then there's that's the pull tool. The grab tool will let you just grab things and move them any which way you want. The smooth tool will smooth out your polygons, so you can adjust not only the strength. So if you wanted to slowly readjust and smooth this thing pressure wise, you can. The wax tool, I love this tool. This tool allows you to basically stack onto your geometry. So this may actually look kind of cool on the Halberd Blade. Actually, it probably won't because we don't have enough subpolygons in here. But it's really good for organics. So, you know, let's say you have something like a muscle or something like that. It's great for stacking on sculpt onto a muscle. The knife tool, of course, will, you know, cut into your scene, and you know this probably needs a lot more subdivide. You probably can't see this really well, so let's sculpt subdivide this, and then what I'll also do is go to my display, my options, configure, and turn off select wireframe so you can see this. So the knife tool just kind of cuts in. The wax tool, it kind of just builds on top of your sculpt layer after layer, which is awesome for like, you know, veins and stuff like that, or even just like muscles in general. It's great for that. Pinch, of course, you know, pinches your edges, so it can pinch the creases. And then flatten, kind of obvious what that does. Inflate, so, you know, you can bust up things. Amplify, kind of obvious. Fill, never use. Repeat is something where you can use with a stamp tool. So you can actually load in a pattern and kind of just draw a pattern all over, etc., etc. But why did I show you this? Because with sculpt tools, sometimes it's just easier, instead of like selecting this blade and highlighting all these different points individually, which can be really time consuming. It's probably just easier just to go to your sculpt mode and just grab stuff and move it any way you want. And it just makes modeling oftentimes just that much easier, because then you can, you know, you can really look at everything and say, oh man, I want to just adjust these polygons just a little bit. I don't want to go crazy here though. And you can just do like little fine-tuning adjustments, which is fantastic for stuff like this. Okay, so I am starting to fade a little bit. And I also want to figure out this reflection issue. So I'm probably going to call it a day for right now. And then I'm going to hop back on maybe next week and finish up this halberd. But I also want to fix this reflection problem, because this is really going to bug me all day long, because it shouldn't have done that. And we should have been like busting through. But anyway, so I'm going to tune on out. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I know it's like this is like the first stream with this John. So, of course, we're going to have a couple bumps along the way, but I think it's just going to progressively get better, and I'll just be able to show you guys more and more things as we move along. So, yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we will continue this later on, sometime next week. All right? Thank you again. Talk to you later.